Happy heart, little readers. Magical story time for kids.
Millie's Thank You Lanterns. Deep in the heart of Cobblestone Lane lived a little mouse named Millie. She wore a bright yellow cardigan that felt like a soft hug. The village was painted in shades of soft violet and evening blue. Every cottage window began to twinkle like a fallen star. Millie loved the smell of toasted oats and damp clover in the air. It was a cozy evening, just right for a little bit of magic. Millie visited her grandmother, a kind mouse named Oma, whose house smelled of peppermint. Oma reached onto a high shelf and pulled down a small wooden lantern. It looked quite ordinary, with a tiny, sleeping wick tucked inside the glass. "This is for you, my little light," Oma whispered with a warm smile. She told Millie that this lantern was fueled by something very special. It only needed a kind word to wake the golden flame inside. Millie stepped outside and walked toward the busy village square. There, Graham the baker was closing up his flowery wooden shop. He handed Millie a small, warm bun topped with golden honey. The smell was so sweet, it made her whiskers twitch with joy. Millie looked at the bun and then up at the friendly baker. She felt a warm tingle in her heart as she prepared to speak. "Thank you for the honey bun, Graham," Millie squeaked softly. Suddenly, a tiny spark of amber light flickered inside her wooden lantern. The glass began to shimmer like a sunset captured in the twilight. Millie clapped her paws together as the warmth spread through her cardigan. She remembered Oma's secret words and whispered them to the evening air. "Thank you makes the light grow," she sang happily to herself. At the little schoolhouse, Millie found her dear friend Finn. Finn was sitting on a bench with a box of bright, waxy crayons. He saw Millie and handed her a beautiful sky blue crayon to use. They drew circles and stars on the smooth, flat stones together. It was wonderful to create something beautiful with a close friend. Millie felt the gratitude bubbling up inside her as they laughed. "Thank you for sharing, Finn," Millie said with a very wide grin. The lantern pulsed with a brilliant, honey-colored light in the darkness. It was now bright enough to chase away the deep violet shadows. The little flame danced behind the glass. Growing taller and much stronger, Millie skipped down the path, her heart feeling lighter than a summer feather. "Thank you makes the light grow," she reminded herself as she went. Near the garden gate, Millie saw her wise teacher, Astra. Astra was carrying a stack of books with weathered, gold-edged pages. She stopped to show Millie a picture of a distant, glowing moon. "Knowledge is a gift that never stops giving," Astra said gently. Millie felt lucky to have such a kind guide in her village. She bowed her head politely as the teacher prepared to walk home. "Thank you for the story, Astra," Millie called out into the night. The lantern flared with a soft radiance that matched the rising moon. Millie looked up at the sky where the sun had finally disappeared. The big, golden orb seemed to be waving a silent goodbye to the day. "Thank you for the warm sunshine," Millie whispered to the vast sky. The lantern was now so bright it lit up the entire garden path. Near the old oak tree, Millie met her father, Bram. Bram was coming home with a bundle of sweet-smelling cedar wood. He picked Millie up and gave her a giant, fuzzy squeeze. His hug felt like the safest place in the whole wide world. Millie buried her nose in his soft, moss-colored vest and smiled. She was so happy to see him waiting for her there. "Thank you for the big hug, Papa," Millie whispered into his ear. The lantern burst into a dazzling golden radiance that reached the trees. It looked like Millie was carrying a piece of the morning sun. The forest floor sparkled with amber light as they walked home together. Every leaf and pebble seemed to shine with a secret, quiet joy. "Thank you makes the light grow," she hummed as they walked. When they reached home, Oma was waiting on the front porch. She saw the brilliant light coming from far down the lane. "You have been very busy, Millie," Oma said, her eyes twinkling. Millie showed her the lantern, which was now filled with shimmering stars. The porch was bathed in a warm, comforting, and golden amber glow. Together, they sat and watched the fireflies dance in the dark garden. Millie realized that the more she thanked, the happier she felt. Her lantern was bright because her heart was full of goodness. Gratitude was like a magic lamp that lived deep inside her. Even when the sun went down, Millie's world stayed bright. She fell asleep dreaming of all the good things to come. "Thank you makes the light grow," she whispered one last time.
Thanks for reading with us. Subscribe for more magical stories, and like and come back anytime for more Storytime adventures.